Imagine this for a moment. You wake up on an ordinary morning in 2026, same coffee, same routine, same paycheck. But something around you feels different. Not dramatic, not obvious, just a quiet pressure in the air, like the middle class is slowly fading into the background. Prices climb, but salaries don't. Rent rises, but savings don't. Everything gets more expensive, yet your ability to push forward stays frozen in place. It feels like someone pressed pause on your financial life while the rest of the world hit fast forward. Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to admit. The middle class isn't collapsing in a sudden dramatic crash. It's dissolving. Quietly, steadily, invisibly, and most people won't realize it until they wake up and see that security, stability, and upward mobility have all become luxury items. The middle class is not dying because of one crisis, but because of five forces converging at the same time: AI automation, permanent inflation, housing unaffordability, global debt spirals, and a financial system that rewards asset owners while punishing wage earners. And here's the real twist. This isn't a prediction. This is already happening. Right now, in your city, in your country, in your daily life. But the biggest question, the one nobody seems to answer, is simple. If the middle class is disappearing, what replaces it? A permanent underclass, a two-tier society, or a completely new type of financial identity you must build yourself? Today, I'll show you exactly why the middle class will vanish by 2030, and more importantly, what I'm doing right now to make sure I never fall with it. Before we begin, if you value understanding the systems that quietly shape your life, take a moment to subscribe. We explore these stories every week, calmly, clearly, without noise. To understand why the middle class is vanishing, we have to go back, not decades, just a few years. Because this collapse isn't ancient history. It didn't start with the 2008 crisis. It didn't start with COVID. It started the moment the world crossed a line we were never supposed to cross. The line where the cost of living began rising faster than the value of work. That's the moment when the middle-class future quietly broke. Think about it. For most of modern history, your salary could buy you stability, a home, a future, a path upward. But once inflation became structural, not temporary, everything changed. Housing became an investment asset, not a human necessity. Corporations learned they could raise prices faster than wages. Governments realized inflation was the easiest way to shrink debt, and they accepted it. And then came the real turning point. AI automation. Not the friendly kind that saves you time, but the silent kind that replaces entire job categories without making a sound. Overnight, millions of workers lost something they didn't even know was fragile: their economic bargaining power. First it was call centers, then accounting, then marketing, then coding, then customer service. And soon, almost every middle-skill job that held the middle class together. Because when AI can do your work faster, cheaper, and at scale, your value stops rising. And just when people needed protection the most, interest rates hit levels the world hadn't seen in 22 years. Mortgages doubled, rents spiked, credit cards became traps, saving became impossible, and for the first time in modern history, work no longer guaranteed progress. All of this created a perfect storm: inflation eating your income, AI eating your job, interest rates eating your future, and debt eating the entire global economy. This is the backstory of the collapse, and we're only at the beginning. Now let's break down the mechanism, the real engine behind the disappearance of the middle class. Because it's not one crisis, it's a system, a structure, a loop that feeds on itself. And here's the first loop: prices rise faster than incomes. That alone destroys upward mobility, but combined with AI, it creates something much darker: A world where your effort no longer converts into progress. Let's visualize it. AI increases productivity. Companies earn more, but wages stay flat, yet prices rise anyway. So what happens? The entire difference becomes profit. Not income, not salary, not opportunity, just profit. This is how we entered what economists now call the asset economy, where wealth is no longer earned, it's owned. And if you don't already own assets, homes, stocks, businesses, the system quietly leaves you behind. Here's the second loop. Inflation is no longer temporary. It's engineered. Governments use inflation to reduce their impossible debt loads. But inflation doesn't shrink that debt for you. It shrinks your life, your savings, your comfort, your security. Now combine this with the third loop. High interest rates. When interest rates rise, low-income families suffer, but the middle class collapses. Why? Because the middle class relies on mortgages, loans, and credit, all of which get more expensive the moment rates jump. Meanwhile, the wealthy simply move their capital into high-yield assets and earn more from the rate hikes. So what you feel as pain, they experience as income. And then comes the fourth loop, the one nobody talks about. AI doesn't just automate tasks, it automates inequality. AI makes high-skill workers more valuable and mid-skill workers replaceable. It amplifies the income of the top and compresses the income of the middle. The system stretches upward and squeezes downward at the exact same time. This is the mechanism, the invisible structure replacing the middle class with something far more fragile. A society where you don't rise by working harder, you rise by owning smarter. And that realization changed everything for me. Because once I understood this, I realized something powerful. If the middle class is disappearing, you must stop operating like the middle class to survive. And now we reach the part nobody wants to say out loud. The middle class isn't collapsing because of inflation, or AI, or interest rates, or globalization, or housing. Those are symptoms. The real cause, the uncomfortable truth, is this. The economy no longer needs a middle class to function. For most of the 20th century, the middle class was the engine of growth. Workers earned more, spent more, fueled expansion, and created stability. But today, technology does the growing, not people. Corporations don't need millions of stable earners to increase production. AI replaces labor. Automation replaces skill. Algorithms replace management. And capital, not wages, drives growth. This means the system evolved, but we didn't. We kept operating with a work hard, rise slowly mindset inside a world that now rewards something very different. Ownership, leverage, autonomy, intelligence, not compliance. And as this shift happened, the old social pyramid flipped upside down. At the top, a small class of asset owners growing exponentially. In the middle, a shrinking group working harder for less stability. At the bottom, a permanently stressed majority absorbing the cost of everything. And here's the part that truly shocked me when I understood it. The middle class isn't disappearing. It's being redesigned into something more predictable, more controllable, and far less mobile. A group that works but doesn't rise. A group that pays but doesn't own. A group that survives but doesn't grow. Once I understood this, I realized something else too. No government is coming to rescue this structure. No policy can reverse it. And no election can rebuild what technology already made obsolete. The system is not broken. It's simply evolving into the next phase. And if you stay inside the old version, the version built around salary, stability, and slow upward mobility, you get trapped. But if you step outside it, if you build your own independent financial identity, you survive. You adapt, you rise. Because in this new world, the middle class isn't protected. It's optional, and you get to choose whether you stay in it or step beyond it. So what does all of this mean for you? It means the world you grew up believing in. A world where hard work guaranteed stability, where salaries could build a future, where saving money actually mattered. That world is fading. The middle-class collapse is not happening on a national level. It's happening inside homes, inside families, inside daily decisions. You feel it when you look at rent, when you look at food prices, when you fill your gas tank, when you try to save, when you realize that every year, your life costs more and buys less. But here's something most people never realize. The collapse is structural, but your response can be individual. You don't have to go down with this trend. You don't have to remain in the class the system is quietly dissolving. You can build something separate, something independent, something that protects you from inflation, from automation, from interest rates, and from a system that no longer guarantees progress. In 2026, I made a decision to build my own financial balance, outside the structures collapsing around me. Not by becoming rich, not by chasing shortcuts, but by creating a system designed for the new world. Multiple income streams, AI-assisted productivity, ownership over consumption, assets over status, liquidity over lifestyle, and long-term positioning over short-term comfort. This isn't a motivational speech, it's a survival strategy. Because the middle-class model was built for a world that no longer exists, but you can choose a different model, a different structure, a different future. And it starts with one realization. You will not be saved by the system you were born into. You will be saved by the one you build yourself. If this gave you clarity, stay close. We explore these hidden mechanics every week, calmly, clearly, and without noise. Welcome to Financial Room.